So I remained as a Gentile, and they took me in. They had their certain those barracks at every nationality from the Gentiles, like the French they had, the Hungarian, the Czechs. I was claiming I'm a Czech, but they took me away from Hungary, so the Czech took me into their barracks, and I was liberated April the 30th, 1945. And that's the story that I have.
What did you feel like when you were liberated? What were your first thoughts when you see the Americans come?
Well, we were very happy when we saw that the doors, the gate opened up, and the American army came in. But we were too weak to celebrate. The only thing is, we were a little stronger than because I was in the Gentile camp, so we had more food, and because the Gentiles, they got from Red Cross parcels, and they were allowed to get a little more food than the Jews. So we were a little stronger, but I was already very weak. But I didn't work. They were keeping me inside to clean their houses or their barracks and to work, because they were all elderly, like political or some army prisoners, political prisoners, army prisoners, you know, generals and things. But they were all elderly people, and they were wondering why a young man like me is there in camp. But I didn't tell them that I was Jewish. So they were trying to, I told them a certain story, which it wasn't true, that my father was a Czech custom officer, and my mother was Ukrainian, and then the Czech went away, and that's how I became, and I stayed there with them. So they were, the Czechs were helping me out. I mean, to look after me, because I was a young boy compared to them.
I got one last question for you.
Okay.
And this deals with the time when you come back to Lou, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your homecoming. And also tell me, my father says that you stayed there a little bit longer, too. So tell me about coming back to Lou and reopening, I guess, the family store or something, and leaving, and why you left.
Well, I came back, we all separated when they took us to Prague. In Prague we separated, but I told for the group that for all the Gentiles that we were together in Prague. In Prague, everyone was going in a separate direction, and we were in the train station. And there I told them that I was Jewish. So they were wondering how I pulled that through, and they were very happy for me, the Czechs. And then I went home precisely just to look after if somebody is alive from the family. And I came back. We were going to trains, and the top of the trains, you know, like traveling. And when I came home, I found some young boys, my age, and girls, that they came back. I think, if I remember good, from the whole town, we were maybe 14, 15 people that we came back, young children. So I opened up one of the stores that my father had, and I was trying to establish and wait there, maybe somebody will come back. So, and then they told me that my brother Michael he is not alive. That they caught him in Budapest, and they killed him. That the Germans. That I was told in the place that he was living in Budapest as a dentist, he was working, Michael. And one day I was going in a truck to buy merchandise for the store, who I see Michael is walking with a bag on his shoulders to come home. So he came home, and then a younger sister and two cousins, cousin Yatsu and Dori. So they were, Julia was also home, but she left and went away to Budapest. But then I remained home with the three girls. Michael didn't want to stay home, so I was the latest, like, to stay home, looking after Esti, Yatsu, and Dori. I mean, we were, and I thought maybe I would establish a new life in Hong Kong, because we had a big house, there was a store, and I thought I could make a living. But then, which I did. But then one day they decided that the Carpathia is going to be given over to the Russian. So the Czechs left the town, and I didn't want to stay under the Russian occupation, so I also left for Czechoslovakia. And then from Czechoslovakia back to Germany, to a DP camp.
When we came back, I went home where our house was, where my parents' house was. And I found my sister, she was hiding in Budapest, so she was already home. And she had already a store, textile, and she found my furniture where I used to live in Bochco, and she took the furniture to let, because in Lu, they took away everything from the house. So my furniture was there. And then when I came home, I had a very good friend of mine. Before we left, she always came and she took textiles to hide for me, and my fur coat, and my clothing, and my everything. And when I came home, she said she has nothing, that the Hungarian, when they went away, they took everything with them. And one day, I went and waited for her by the church. I wanted to see if she tells the truth. So she walks out from the church in my suit. Then I went to the Russian army, and I said I want they should go to her home and search for my things. And they went to her home, and they found a lot of textile, a lot of my husband's clothes, a lot of my clothes, my fur coat they found, and I got everything back. And I never talked to her anymore. That was my best friend who did that to me. And the Russian, the girl, that the gentle lady who worked for us, she worked for us since I was born, till we went in the camp. I was 22 years old. So she came and she was crying. She was saying, why didn't you leave the baby with me? Now you would have the baby. But nothing I could have done. Then I went back and I went to Budapest. And from Budapest, I went to Czechoslovakia. And from Czechoslovakia, we went to Germany.
Some of them were happy that we came back because the city was deserted without the Jews. Some were happy. The others might have not been happy, but they didn't show it. Some were nice. Some were really nice and happy. Some non-Jewish people who were protecting even the property